The new season of the Squid Game holds many interesting secrets. There are even some references to legendary players from the first season. Today on our channel, we are going to look at the curious details and secrets of the new part of the Squid Game. At the very beginning of Red Light, Green Light game, Gi-hun checks his tooth to make sure the tracker his friends installed is still there. However, he discovers that the tracker has been removed and is horrified. At this point, he utters the phrase, "I'm fucked," and the camera zooms in on him. This scene is almost identical to a moment in the first season when the players were participating in a caramel figure-cutting game called Dalgona. Gi-hun then realised that he had been given an umbrella-shaped figure that was extremely difficult to carve. This time he also said the same sentence and the camera approached him in the same way. These parallels emphasise the emotional tension of the characters and create some references for fans following the story closely. The season begins with Gi-hun hunting down recruiters for a Squid Game. He teams up with a mafia boss who has several underlings under his command. However, this character has already appeared in the first season. This is the same loan shark who beat up Gi-hun for not paying his debts. Apparently, after the events of the first season, Gi-hun found this man to pay off his debts and hired him as an ally. After the puppet is finished, all the players are terrified, but Gi-hun goes up to talk to the guards. He explains that they now have the right to vote according to the third point of the rules. This scene with Gi-hun is very identical to the one in which Sang-woo also invoked the third paragraph of the rules in the first season. If you type the phrase Squid Game into Google, a special card will appear at the bottom of the page, and clicking on it will automatically start a mini-game identical to the puppet game from the series. In this game you can play with other players. Just like in the show, move forward and stop to avoid being spotted by the puppet. Of course, if you lose, there are no gunshots and no blood. The eliminated player simply disappears. If you win, however, you'll be treated to an animated celebration. During the Red Light, Green Light game, a transgender character saves Gi-hun's life when he almost falls. This moment is pretty much the same as in the first season. Let's remember that in the puppet game, Gi-hun Morkom fell near the finish line, but was saved by Ali. That's when we realise that Ali is a kind and very reliable person. In this part, the transgender Hyunju plays a similar role. After this point, she becomes a trustworthy ally and an important element in the whole story. It should be noted that Hyunju is based on a real person, Byun Hui-soo. Byun Hui-soo is the first Korean soldier in history to undergo gender reassignment surgery and become a woman. She was a senior sergeant and insisted on staying in the army. However, she was forcibly discharged. Many people were surprised that the presenter decided to take part in the games, but why did he do so? The answer seems to be hidden in the first season. In the last episode, we were shown a flashback of the presenter having a conversation with Il-nam, the creator of the games. In this conversation, the host asked the old man a question. Why did he decide to take part in the games himself? Il-nam replied, "The best way to enjoy these games is to play them yourself." It seems that these words had a profound effect on the host, and that is why he decided to take part in the games again, after so many years. In the first episode, Gi-hun's friends were forced to play a deadly game organised by recruiters. In the end, however, the mafia boss deliberately lost so that his subordinate could survive. He went along with it because they were friends. He officiated at his wedding and promised to look after him. This sacrifice is reminiscent of the marbles game from the first season. Then Gi-hun's friend, Se-byok, befriends a young girl. In the end, the girl deliberately loses so that Se-byok can survive. These parallels show that sacrifice and loyalty to friends remain important themes in the show. The fact that the transgender character in the series is played by actor Park Sung-hoon, who is not a member of the LGBT community in real life, caused a major controversy online. The dissatisfaction stemmed from the expectation that the role would be played by a real transgender actress. In response to the criticism, the show's director, Hwang Dong-hyuk, said that he really wanted to cast a transgender actress, but it was very difficult because there are not many actresses in South Korea who are open about their identity. That's why they had to cast a man in the role. In the scene after the credits, a new puppet appears. According to the show's director, his name is Chul Soo, and he is the boyfriend of the original doll. This new doll is based on a character from Korean children's books. Remember that the original doll was also inspired by a book character. Her name is Yong-hee, and she was a very close friend of Chul Soo in the books. These details add depth to the story and link elements of the show to Korean culture and children's literature. Many believe that the scene after the credits shows the game that Gi-hun will be in the third season. However, this may not be the case. In this scene, we see player number 100 taking part. This player appeared earlier in the season and was introduced as the sinister old man. However, if we take a closer look at the scene after the credits, we can see that player number 100 does not have grey hair and does not look like an old man. This means that it may not be the same player. The theory is that this scene is from the past. Maybe it's a game the frontman took part in when he was still a player. Remember that he won games in 2015. He may have met this version of the doll. In episode 4, Thanos beats up a blogger, but the number one player intervenes. An argument ensues between the two, which escalates into a conflict. When Thanos tells him to go home and raise your children, player number 1 loses his temper and beats him up. There is a clear explanation for this behaviour. Player 1 is the host. Thanks to his brother, we know that the frontman's wife died while pregnant. This means that he lost his child years ago. That's why he couldn't complain about Thanos' sentence and let his emotions run wild. These details add depth to the frontman's character, revealing his inner wounds and vulnerabilities. At the end of the season, it is revealed that the ship's captain turned out to be a traitor and sabotaged the Bull's plans from the start. This information becomes even more interesting when we remember that he spent 2 years at sea with the policeman, exploring the ocean in search of the Squid Game island. Now that we know the truth, we can see that the captain has been working for the leader from the beginning, hiding the location of the island throughout the search. Furthermore, we can assume that the leader initially hired this man to save his brother. Remember, in last season's finale, the leader shot his brother in the shoulder. He probably hired the captain to help him heal and look after his brother all those years ago. We all remember the song from the Mingle game song that got stuck in the audience's heads. But where does it come from? It is a very popular children's song in South Korea, the title of which translates as Round and Round. This song, taken from children's culture, adds an eerie note to the show, showing how elements of innocent childhood are turned into a tool of psychological pressure in deadly games. Critics have pointed out that it seems illogical that Gi-hun could have a tracker removed from his mouth when other characters were able to sneak dangerous objects into the game. For example, Thanos smuggled substances and an elderly woman brought a knife. This is not a mistake. The aim of the game is to entertain VIP spectators, so the organisers allow participants to smuggle in items that could lead to violence or add dynamism to make the spectacle more exciting. But in Gi-hun's case, a tracker could have ruined the whole structure and purpose of the game by disrupting the order and giving away his location, so his tracker was removed. The new season introduces a woman who serves in the ranks of the Guardians. She reveals that she escaped from North Korea, leaving behind her 1-year-old daughter. In one scene, she interacts with a man who helps her find the child. This man is the same man Se-byok contacted in the first season. Remember that Se-byok also fled North Korea and sought this man's help in getting her mother to South Korea. In the same episode, Gi-hun also meets this man. They work together to help Se-byok's mother move to South Korea. These crossovers show how the characters' fates continue to intertwine, creating emotional connections between past and present. If you type Squid Game 2 into the TikTok search engine, you'll find an option to take part in a themed game based on the series. As part of this event, you can earn points and rewards. In the season finale, we see player number 246 being shot. At first glance, he appears to be dead. However, if you look closely, you can see that the guard who shoots him is wearing a triangular mask, just like the girl from North Korea shown earlier. This girl has met 246 and his daughter before and has developed sympathy for them. This leads one to speculate that she simply wounded him in order to hide him among the bodies of those selected for illegal manipulation of the contestants' bodies. Most likely she will help him escape in the third series. Some viewers have expressed dissatisfaction with the second series, calling it weak and criticising it for its unfinished finale. However, this was planned from the beginning. As the director explained, the second and third seasons were filmed simultaneously and conceived as a single story divided into 2 parts. This explains why the second season seems unfinished. Its climax and conclusion are planned for the third season. Many people wonder why player 388 froze at the end of the season. It seemed particularly odd during the mass shooting in the finale. However, a closer analysis of the episode reveals that he had been stunned since the beginning of the Gi-hun rebellion. 388 was constantly hiding while others were actively shooting. His behaviour suggests a fear of guns. This leads to 2 possible theories. The first is a traumatic event in his past. Perhaps something happened to him during the war that triggered an intense fear of guns. The second theory is that he never had any military training and simply lied about it to appear more experienced.